What if I told you that one of the most popular healthy vitamins, a supplement that millions of seniors take every single day, believing it's protecting their heart, their brain, and their future, could actually be a hidden trigger for one of the most feared medical emergencies of all, a brain bleed? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? We walk down the aisles of the pharmacy or grocery store, and we see these bottles lined up, promising vitality, promising protection. The labels often have pictures of vibrant, happy older adults. We buy them with the very best of intentions. We want to be proactive. We want to take control of our health, to stay independent, and to never, ever be a burden on the people we love. But the hard truth, the one that doctors don't always have the time to explain in a 10-minute appointment, is that one of these trusted supplements holds a dangerous paradox. And if you've ever found yourself standing in that vitamin aisle, feeling confused by all the conflicting information, trying to do the right thing for your health, then this conversation today is especially for you. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal which common vitamin this is, why it carries this risk, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself and your loved ones starting today. This isn't about fear. It's about knowledge, and knowledge is power. Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me today. We're about to tackle a subject that is critically important, yet so often overlooked. We're going to talk about supplements, specifically a vitamin that many of us, perhaps even you, have in our medicine cabinet right now. The goal of this video is simple but ambitious: to give you the clear, trustworthy guidance you need to navigate the world of supplements safely. We're going to untangle the confusion and replace it with confidence. The information we're discussing today isn't based on fringe theories or internet rumors. It comes directly from some of the most respected medical institutions in the country, places like the Mayo Clinic, the National Institutes of Health, and Johns Hopkins Medicine. We'll be looking at their research and their warnings. For example, we'll discuss a study that pointed to a potential 22% increase in the risk of a bleeding-type stroke, also known as a hemorrhagic stroke, linked to high doses of this specific vitamin. To make this all crystal clear, we're going to break our conversation down into 6 key parts. First, we'll identify this vitamin and explain the hidden risk it poses to your blood vessels. Second, we'll do a deep dive into the dosage. This is the part that shocks most people. Third, we'll uncover the dangerous cocktail that's created when this vitamin is mixed with common medications, even something as simple as a daily baby aspirin. Fourth, we'll look at the other side of the coin, a different vitamin that can create the exact opposite problem. Fifth, we'll talk about the safe and frankly better ways to get the nutrient your body needs. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, I'm going to give you a simple 3-step action plan to become the safest, most informed manager of your own health. You'll definitely want to stick around for that last part, because it's a tool you can use for the rest of your life. So let's begin. And a quick but important reminder, I am not a doctor, and this video is not a substitute for professional medical advice. The goal here is to educate and empower you so you can have more informed conversations with your own healthcare provider who knows your unique medical history. Always consult with your doctor or a qualified pharmacist before starting, stopping, or changing any supplement or medication regimen. Our first point today addresses the core of this warning, the hidden risk in your heart-healthy routine. The vitamin we are talking about is vitamin E. For decades, vitamin E was hailed as a superstar antioxidant, a champion for heart health, and a protector of our cells. And with good intentions, millions of people started taking it in high-dose supplement form, thinking they were building a fortress around their heart and brain. But as more research came in, A concerning pattern began to emerge. It turns out that in high doses, the very vitamin people were taking to prevent cardiovascular problems could, in some cases, increase the risk of a specific and particularly dangerous type of stroke. This is what's known as a hemorrhagic stroke or a brain bleed. Now, most of us have heard of strokes caused by a clot, where a blood vessel in the brain gets blocked. That's called an ischemic stroke. A hemorrhagic stroke is the opposite. It's when a weakened blood vessel ruptures and bleeds into the brain. This bleeding puts immense pressure on brain tissue, damaging cells and creating a life-threatening emergency. So how does vitamin E play into this? The mechanism is surprisingly simple. Your body has a brilliant built-in system for stopping bleeding. When you get a cut, tiny cells in your blood called platelets rush to the scene. They become sticky and clump together to form a plug, a process called platelet aggregation. This is the first step in forming a clot to seal the wound. Vitamin E, especially in the high concentrations found in supplements, acts as a blood thinner by interfering with this exact process. It makes your platelets less sticky. Think of it like this. Imagine your platelets are a team of emergency workers trying to build a sandbag wall to stop a leak. High-dose vitamin E is like a substance that makes all the sandbags slippery and unable to stack properly. The wall doesn't form as quickly or as strongly, and the leak continues. In the delicate blood vessels of the brain, this slight delay, this reduced ability to form a quick plug, can be the difference between a vessel sealing itself and a full-blown brain bleed. This isn't just a theory. The Physicians' Health Study 2, a major long-term study, observed this trend, noting that while vitamin E didn't seem to affect the more common clot-based strokes, it was associated with that significant 22% increased risk of hemorrhagic stroke. It's a sobering reminder that natural doesn't always mean harmless, especially when we concentrate a substance far beyond what nature ever intended. Now that we understand the risk, you might be thinking, but how much is too much? Surely the amount in my daily supplement is safe. This brings us directly to our second and arguably most crucial point. You are probably taking far more than you think. Let's talk about the shocking difference between what your body needs and what's sold in the bottle. The recommended dietary allowance, or RDA, for vitamin E, the amount that the National Institutes of Health has established is sufficient for nearly all healthy adults, is 15 milligrams a day. For those of us who still think in international units, or IUs, that's about 22.4 IU. Let's hold that number in our minds. 22.4 IU. Now, I want you to mentally walk over to your medicine cabinet or kitchen counter. Pick up that bottle of vitamin E you bought at the store. What does the label say? For so many of the common popular brands, you won't see 22 IU. You'll see 400 IU, or 800 IU, or even 1,000 IU. Let's do the math on that. A 400 IU capsule is not double or triple the recommended amount. It's nearly 20 times the amount your body actually needs per day. It's the nutritional equivalent of a recipe calling for a pinch of salt, and you dumping in an entire salt shaker. Your body simply isn't designed to handle that level of concentration from a single substance day after day. This is a perfect example of the more is better myth that the supplement industry has frankly profited from for years. We see a vitamin that's good for us in small amounts, and we assume that a megadose must be even better. But our bodies don't work that way. This level of toxicity doesn't come from your diet. You would have to eat an almost impossible amount of nuts, seeds, and oils to get anywhere close to 400 IU of vitamin E. For instance, to get that much from food, you'd need to eat about 20 cups of almonds every single day. Nobody does that. The The risk of thinning your blood to a problematic degree comes almost exclusively from these high-dose, over-the-counter pills. The red flag here is the number on the bottle. If your vitamin E supplement contains 400 IU or more, you are taking a pharmacological dose, not a nutritional one. And it's time to have a serious conversation with your doctor about whether the potential risks of that high dose outweigh any perceived benefits. The risk we've just discussed with high-dose vitamin E doesn't exist in a vacuum. For so many of us, it gets added to a daily routine that already includes other medications. This brings us to our third point: the dangerous cocktail created when vitamin E is combined with common medications. This is where the risk can multiply exponentially. Let's think about our audience persona, a woman we called Cautious Carol. She's proactive. She's taking vitamin E for her heart health. But her husband, like millions of American seniors, takes a daily low-dose aspirin as prescribed by his doctor to prevent a heart attack or a clot-based stroke. Neither of them would ever think these two healthy habits could be a dangerous combination. Here's why it is. Aspirin, even at a low dose, works by thinning the blood. Its primary job is to make platelets less sticky to prevent dangerous clots from forming in the arteries. Now, add a high-dose vitamin E supplement to that regimen. As we just learned, vitamin E also makes platelets less sticky. You are now taking two different substances that are doing the same job. It's called a synergistic effect or a stacking effect. You're not just adding the risk, you're multiplying it. You have essentially taken a gentle blood thinner and turned it into a much more potent one, without your doctor even knowing. Now let's raise the stakes even higher. What about individuals who are on prescription blood thinners like Warfarin, also known as Coumadin, or newer drugs like clopidogrel, Plavix, apixaban, Eliquis, or rivaroxaban, Xarelto? These are powerful, life-saving medications prescribed to people with conditions like atrial fibrillation or a history of blood clots. A doctor carefully calibrates the dose of these drugs to find a perfect balance, thin enough to prevent a dangerous clot, but not so thin as to cause spontaneous bleeding. It is a precise science. Taking high-dose vitamin E while on warfarin is like throwing a wrench into that finely tuned machine. Research published in the National Library of Medicine has confirmed this, showing that for patients on warfarin, higher levels of vitamin E in their blood were directly linked to an increased risk of bleeding events. It can turn a therapeutic, controlled process into an emergency. You could experience anything from severe nosebleeds and bruising to life-threatening internal bleeding, or the very hemorrhagic stroke we're trying to avoid. The action step here is critical. If you take any blood-thinning medication at all, from a daily baby aspirin to prescription warfarin, you should not be taking high-dose vitamin E supplements without the explicit guidance and monitoring of your physician. It's a hidden interaction that can have devastating consequences. All right, let's just take a quick pause here. We are halfway through, and we have covered some incredibly important ground. We've learned that high-dose vitamin E, a supplement taken with the best intentions, can thin the blood and increase the risk of a brain bleed. We've seen how the doses in common supplements are often 20 times what our body actually needs. And we've just uncovered how this risk gets multiplied when combined with everyday medications like aspirin or prescription blood thinners. This is heavy stuff, but it is so vital to know. If you're finding this deep dive helpful and are learning something that could protect you or someone you love, I would be so grateful if you could take just 1 second and tap that like button below. It truly helps the video reach more people, like our cautious Carol, who need to hear this message. Thank you so much for that. Now let's get back to it. because the story of how supplements can affect blood clotting doesn't end with vitamin E. Now we need to discuss a fascinating and equally important part of this puzzle. It's what I call the vitamin K conundrum, and it represents the opposite danger. While vitamin E thins the blood, another vitamin, vitamin K, does the exact opposite. Its primary job in the body is to help blood clot. In fact, the K comes from the German word coagulation. Vitamin K is essential for producing the proteins that act like the glue in our blood clotting cascade. For most people, the daily fluctuations in vitamin K from their diet aren't a big deal. The body manages it. But for anyone on the blood thinner Warfarin, this becomes a critical balancing act. Remember how we said a doctor carefully calibrates the dose of Warfarin? That calibration is based on the patient's typical vitamin K intake. The medication is designed to work against a certain amount of vitamin K. Think of it like a perfectly balanced seesaw. On one side, you have Warfarin pushing down to thin the blood. On the other side, you have vitamin K pushing down to clot the blood. The doctor has adjusted the weight on the Warfarin side to keep that seesaw perfectly level and safe. Now, what happens if that person suddenly decides to go on a health kick and starts eating massive salads full of kale and spinach every single day, or worse, starts taking a vitamin K supplement they saw advertised? They have just thrown a huge, unexpected weight onto the vitamin K side of the seesaw. Their blood is now much more likely to clot than before. The Warfarin becomes less effective, and their risk of having the very clot-based stroke or pulmonary embolism the drug was meant to prevent goes way up. The Cleveland Clinic has issued specific warnings about this, emphasizing that consistency is key. It's not that people on Warfarin can't eat leafy greens. It's that they need to eat a consistent amount so their doctor can dose their medication properly. Suddenly starting or stopping a high intake of vitamin K without medical supervision can sabotage their treatment. This highlights a larger truth. Managing your health as a senior, especially when on medication, is not about individual good or bad foods or supplements. It's about the entire system. It shows just how vital it is that your doctor has a complete picture of everything you are taking. Every pill, every vitamin, every natural supplement to keep you safe. After hearing all of these warnings, it would be easy to feel a little panicked or to want to throw out every supplement in your house. But that's not the goal. The goal is empowerment, which brings us to our fifth and very positive point. Don't panic. Get smart. There are far safer and, frankly, more effective ways to get the vitamin E your body needs. The key takeaway from all the major health institutions, from Johns Hopkins to the American Heart Association, is this: get your nutrients from your diet. Your body is designed to process nutrients from whole foods. When you eat food, you're not just getting a massive, isolated dose of one vitamin. You're getting a complex, synergistic package of vitamins, minerals, fiber, and other phytonutrients that all work together. The vitamin E you get from food is not only safe, it's incredibly beneficial. It functions as the antioxidant it's meant to be without overwhelming your body's clotting system. So, where can you find it? It's abundant in many delicious and healthy foods. Almonds and sunflower seeds are fantastic sources. Just a single ounce of almonds gives you about half of your daily requirement. Healthy vegetable oils like sunflower oil or safflower oil are rich in it. Green leafy vegetables like spinach and broccoli contain good amounts, and they come packaged with that vitamin K we just talked about, in a natural balance. Even fortified cereals can be a great source. The story I always remember is of a gentleman I knew who was so worried about his health. He spent $100 a month on a whole cocktail of high-dose vitamin pills, including a massive dose of vitamin E. Yet his daily diet consisted of processed foods, white bread, and sugary snacks. He was trying to use expensive supplements as a substitute for good nutrition, which is like trying to build a strong house with a faulty foundation. A real action step here is a shift in mindset. Instead of looking for a magic pill in the supplement aisle, start by looking for vibrant colors in the produce aisle. A handful of nuts for a snack, a spinach salad for lunch, a side of broccoli with dinner. These small, consistent choices provide all the vitamin E your body needs, in the safe, effective form it was meant to receive. It's simpler, it's cheaper, and as the science overwhelmingly shows, it's a much safer path to long-term health. This brings us to our final and most practical point of the day. This is where we tie everything together into a clear, concrete plan you can use to take control. This is your action plan, the 3-step supplement safe. Step 1 is to become an investigator. I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen, or open the Notes app on your phone, and make a complete and total list of every single thing you take. And I mean everything. Don't just write down your prescription medications. Write down the daily multivitamin, the vitamin E, the fish oil, the ginkgo biloba your neighbor recommended for memory, the turmeric for inflammation, the calcium plus vitamin D. Write down the name of each supplement and, just as importantly, the exact dosage on the bottle. 400 IU of vitamin E, 1,000 milligrams of fish oil, 120 milligrams of ginkgo. Be meticulous. This list is your personal health inventory. Step 2 is to make an appointment. Call your doctor's office or your local pharmacy. Many pharmacists are incredibly knowledgeable about interactions and are an underutilized resource. Don't just bring this up at the end of a regular checkup when the doctor is rushing out the door. Schedule a specific appointment for a medication and supplement review. Tell the receptionist that's the purpose of the visit. This signals that you need dedicated time to discuss this. Step 3 is to ask the magic question. When you are sitting in front of your doctor or pharmacist with your list in hand, I want you to ask this question, word for word. Could any of these supplements I am taking interact with my prescription medications or with each other in a way that could increase my risk of bleeding or any other side effect? Asking it this way is powerful. It's specific. It's not just, are these safe? It directs your doctor's attention to the exact risks we've discussed today, interactions and bleeding risk. It opens up a dialogue. This single act transforms you from a passive patient into an active, informed partner in your own healthcare. It's the single most powerful thing you can do to protect yourself from the hidden dangers in the supplement aisle. So there we have it. We've been on quite a journey today. We started by revealing the paradox of high-dose vitamin E, a supplement many trust for heart health that can thin the blood and increase the risk of a dangerous brain bleed. We pulled back the curtain on the shocking difference between the tiny amount our bodies need and the massive doses sold in stores. We saw how this risk can be dangerously amplified when mixed with common medications like aspirin or warfarin, creating a hidden cocktail many are unaware of. We then explored the flip side of the coin with vitamin K, understanding how too much of a good thing can sabotage life-saving medication. But we didn't end on a note of fear. We turned toward empowerment, focusing on the safe, effective, and delicious ways to get our nutrients from real food. And finally, we created a clear 3-step action plan to put you firmly in the driver's seat of your own health. The core message today is not that all supplements are bad. It's that all supplements are powerful. They are not benign. They have real biological effects on your body, and they demand the same respect and caution as any prescription medication. You have the right to be in control, to ask questions, and to understand exactly what you are putting into your body and why. You are the CEO of your own health, and your doctor is your most trusted consultant. Now, I would love to hear from you. In all that we discussed, which point was the biggest aha moment for you? Was it the dosage difference, the interaction with aspirin, or maybe the three-step action plan? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Reading your experiences helps our entire community learn and grow together. And if you found this deep dive valuable and want more clear, evidence-based health information that respects your intelligence, please be sure to hit subscribe and ring that little notification bell so you won't miss our next video. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It's an investment in your health and your future. Be well, stay empowered, and I'll see you in the next video.